Hi, I'm Nicole Butterfield, and this is my van. It's a Nissan 3500 NV. Alright, this is the kitchen. I decided on this color, I wanted something a little bit darker for the paint, more of like a muted blue-gray, but I wanted it to be bright and cheery in here still and not look too dark, so I went a couple shades lighter, and my first roll, I was like, oh my goodness, that is too bright. But now I love it, and I'm an artist, so I picked a complementary color of like more of an orange tone for this countertop because they go really well together, and I'm just really excited about how that turned out. I installed this laminate that's fire resistant and waterproof. I decided to get this Camp Chef. It's a stove and an oven because who doesn't want pizza? And the way that you access it is you just pop this up, and it has a little bit of it has two dowels right here that just pop right into place, and then you just open that on up, put your pizza in there. We took the racks out because when you're driving it goes and it's not quiet. So anyway, we take those out for driving. It's kind of hard to put this table back in, but it's just like one of those quirks of a van. That's just how van life is. You like, everything can be almost perfect, but just has these tiny little things that you just have to get used to. I really wanted a home outlet to be accessible. Everything else is on DC power except for this outlet. And I basically just ran an extension cord sort of thing all the way over to the inverter to run AC power. And then you just plug in a cord over there and turn on the inverter, and it works like normal. So that's how I grind my coffee. This drawer is really nice. It's the full length of this countertop. It comes out all of the way. All of my spices are in here, all of my silverware, and like the big stuff. I kind of rushed to get in this van, which I feel like is a common thing. And as I was planning everything in the kitchen, I wanted the fridge to be more over here, but just with the way the layout needed to happen, after measuring everything out and all the plywood, I decided it needed to be right here. So there's a heater and then there's a fridge on top, which sounds counterintuitive, but I have a fan for the heater that blows heat out, and then a fan for the fridge as well to keep it cool. And then these drawer slides are really awesome. They just unhinge like that. They're heavy duty drawer slides. This pulls out. Fridge opens. It's pretty deep. It's never really been too full, and I feel like I don't have enough space. Put a tiny little shoe cubby down there so you can kick your shoes off right when you get in. And these are the cabinets. There's a lot of things I'm thinking about doing different. I'm thinking about maybe putting these mason jars down here, more of like a decorative look, and so that when they're in here, they're not like shaking and being really loud. The last thing I installed was these cabinet handles, and these were the first thing I ever bought for this van, and I bought them 3 years ago. So I held these cabinet handles in my hand, and I was 25 at the time, and I was like, I'm gonna live in a bus or a van one day, and this is the start of it. And it took me 3 years, but it was really cool to get all this built, and that was the last thing installed, feeling like the final piece, the first piece and the final piece. We put a 15 by 15 inch sink right here. I think it's deep enough for me with what I need. My dad installed this fun little drawer that like pops up and open. I wasn't initially gonna have a drawer here, but my dad was on team, let's get you a lot of space. And he built a really cool U-shaped drawer that fits around the sink settings. So you have to push the mattress down because we weren't planning on it. And it pulls out all the way and has this fun little nifty U-shape. So I just put spices in there that I don't use very often. All right, and then under the oven, we have this nice big storage, which is a combination of pans for the stove and some pots, and just like random tall stuff that has a hard time fitting into into the cupboards. So that's what's in there. And this little cabinet is where I store my water, and it's, yeah, so it's the water source for the sink. It's a 7-gallon jug, which feels perfect for me. 5 years ago when I quit my corporate job, I was making a lot of money, but I was very unhappy. And I didn't realize it at the time, but now that I look back, I'm like, oh, I was just spending all of my money on clothes and fancy food and just decorative pillows and things that I didn't need. And now I have just like a couple pillows that I need to sleep on. You know, I don't need a million things, and the clothes that I have in here are all serve a purpose, and it feels really good to like get down to the core of just being a human and enjoying the day-to-day experience and not worrying so much about how much money I'm making and how many things I have and how I look. And it really helped me learn to love myself, because I, you know, don't always have access to like get all dolled up, or not a lot of reason to, because I'm hiking. So I learned to not wear makeup and not really do my hair as much, and it makes me just feel a lot more self-love for myself, that I don't feel like I have to be something else just to be happy like I did years ago. Here's the front of the van. We have these beautiful curtains. This was originally one piece. It was a shower curtain that was in my old house, a traditional house. And I cut it into two just so you could like part it if you want to, or you can have it the full way. So it helps just mostly like if I want to take a nap in the middle of the day or something, but it also helps keep the heat in this area and not transfer out the big glass windows. And I just like tuck it behind right there when I want it. This is the passenger seat, and this is a feature that comes with Nissans. It folds all the way down, and my mom is so cute and sewed me a little cushion for it. And it just acts as another little seating space with another little table if you'd like, or someone can also sit right here. So this is the center console, and I feel like I like it way more than I should. It obviously came with the van. The Envies I've seen converted, most of them have taken this out, but I really like it. It has just really deep storage, goes all the way to the ground, and it has 120 volts house outlet in there that you hit a button as you're driving and it turns on. And then it also has a nice little locking mechanism, so if I want to put anything in there, it feels safe and secure. And then we have this fun cabinet right here. This is the bathroom. We have a little drawer that pops out here. I designed this area for plants. My plants lasted about 5 days. I have a fake plant that I'm going to put there eventually. But yeah, so this is another little tiny seating area, which is fun. We have a drawer right here for toiletries. So down here we have the toilet, and you just swing this open and lift it out. And it's pretty snug in there, but it's perfect. With the toilet paper that just sits wedges on top of it. That's just for emergencies only. I don't plan on using it too much unless I get in a pinch, because I just don't really want to deal with the RV stuff and emptying all of that. But it's actually got a really easy place you can empty it. I haven't had to do that yet, but we'll see how it goes when it happens. To make a living on the road, for me, it was pretty easy. I am a self-employed graphic designer, so I'm set up pretty well for that. And I do just different like freelance design. I own 2 different companies. One company, Nicole Design, is building logos, websites, business cards, advertising for people. And then my second company, which is my big passion, and hopefully I can make that my primary company one day, is I own a greeting card company called Little Red Card Co. And I make everything from cards to calendars, all sorts of paper goods. Here's a card of mine and another happy birthday card. And I also specialize in calendars. This year is Woodland Critters, and this is a black-tailed jackrabbit. And it just has little facts about it, like the lifespan, the habitat, the diet, and fun facts about that critter. So that's how I make a living on the road. As long as I have a hot spot here and there, I'm perfectly good to go. This is the bed set up in couch/desk mode right now. And I have a step that pulls out down here, and it hinges up, and there's a bunch of deep storage right there. And then you pull out, I have a pole that's secured on the side of this. Pull that out. You put it through this hole. And then I need a better space for the table to be stored, but this is what's happening currently. Just lays on the bed back there. And it's kind of like an old camper. There we go. And it hinges out. There we go. Now it's in the right place. And so when you want to get in, you just hinge it up, and it hinges up from both sides. So this table is a little bit closer to me. I made it a little uneven, not directly center, this middle piece. So this is like it in desk mode. You can sit straight up and your back's fully supported. But if you want to cash out and you don't want a table right in your gut, you just fold this up, you spin it around, and it's just further away from you and a lot more comfy. So yeah, it's really nice to be able to get in and out from both sides. And this little step that the table sits in, the table leg sits in, makes it so your feet aren't dangling, because we have the bed about 24 inches high, and then there's about a 5-inch mattress, so your legs would be all dangling, and it just makes it really comfy. Along with this big deep step that pulls out for the table, there's also these two smaller drawers, which there's a lot in there right now, but they come out all the way. This is where I keep all my underwear and socks and things, and like personal clothes. Just really easy to get to. This bedspread I made myself. I really wanted a Pendleton bedspread, but they are insanely expensive. So I just looked around and went to Joann's and found this really beautiful fabric, which is kind of what I based a lot of the colors off of. And since it's winter and I'm a big winter girl, I wanted to stay warm, and so I wanted a Pendleton blanket and I also wanted a puffy blanket, but they were both kind of expensive. So I grabbed an old sleeping bag and I put it inside. And it was my very first sleeping bag that I got when I was like probably 10 or 11. And it's perfect, and it keeps us so warm in here. And now to turn it into bed mode, we push this back underneath. We store this back in its nifty little cubby over here. And then this is a really cool mechanism. One of my friends builds out camper vans and trucks. He owns a company called Howard Built based in Bend, Oregon, and he had this cool mechanism that my boyfriend and I were trying to figure out how to make a cozy bed, and this mechanism works perfectly for that. So this is it in bed mode, and we have two personal cabinets right here. This is a fun little feature that we have. It's a closet, and it's a double-sided closet. Like there's two doors to it. So there's a door that you can access it this way, and then a door you can access it from the back of the van. And initially, I built this cabinet to store my snowboard. I'm a big snowboarder, and it's my main sport, so I wanted to make sure I had a good spot for that my snowboard wasn't leaking on stuff and getting other things wet, and that it was just like, yeah, not being in a rusted position. So I initially built it for my snowboard, and then I was like, hey, I can put clothes in there. It's just priorities, you know? And then these cabinets were like a little bit of a last addition, but I love them. I call them my little baby cabinets because they're so small and cute. Then we have over here, again, it was just like another little cubby situation. And then there's a nice little drawer that comes out here. And then this piece right here is it was just a big open dead space over the wheel well, and we just made it this sliding mechanism that you can just put like all your big bulky stuff like blankets and big coats and stuff that you don't really need access to, but it's all there and really, really nice. Again, utilizing every little space. We put a little tiny cubby on top of this closet system to like store towels and things like that. I put some under cabinet lighting just to have some nice mood lighting, so you don't have this harsh light in your eyes at night. So it just is hooked up right here. And there's also a charger that has a USB port, and it's super nice to have that right there, right next to bed, to where, you know, we're all on our phones right before we go to sleep and right when we wake up. My ceiling, I'm an artist, and I really wanted to create some sort of art space in here, and I knew a lot of the walls were going to be full of cabinets and just everything I needed to live. So I decided the place where I was going to do my art piece was the ceiling, and I got a projector for Christmas and projected the Sawtooth Mountain Range in Idaho. Redfish Lake right here is where my family spent every summer as a kid, and it's always been a really, really special place to me. I've gone a lot of special places over the year, but that was the first one that really made me love the outdoors and love camping. And I put these little scenes along here. We've got 3 pine trees in the North Star, some Indian paintbrush, which is my favorite wildflower, a mountain scene because I'm a big mountain girl, a little surf wave, and then we've of course got some desert cactuses and a moon. This one is really special to me, so I put it at the front of the vehicle because it symbolizes me and my 2 older brothers, because we all lived in the Pacific Northwest at one point. And this last spring, there was a tragedy in our family where my middle sibling, who's the second oldest brother, actually, him and his wife were murdered. And I really wanted to finally get this tattoo I'd been thinking of for so long, because, you know, we lost him and he was so important to us, him and his wife. So he's the tallest tree because he was the tallest out of us 3 siblings, and the North Star symbolizes his wife, Catherine, because she's always just like this really sunshiny, like bright person, always looking out for people. So I thought that was a good symbolization of her, because she always just kind of is leading the way and like making people feel really good and comfortable. So, and then I also have a fan right here, which I put it in the center so you could get flow for your stove and then also to create airflow for your bed. This skylight, my boyfriend thought it was kind of funny doing it. He's like, oh, it just seems like a waste of time, but it is probably my favorite thing in the van. It always just brings a little extra light when the space could be so dark back here, because I don't have any windows currently back here. Someone who wants to live a similar lifestyle to this, or who's debating it, I would say just go for it. Like, we only have one life, and as I mentioned earlier with my ceiling art, my brother and sister-in-law being murdered last year, they were 30 and 31, and they worked their butts off and didn't play a lot and didn't take a lot of vacation because they wanted to get really set up for the future. And, you know, as harsh as it was, that future got stripped away from them. And that just, I had been debating this lifestyle for about 3 years now, and it made me realize that nothing's guaranteed. Like, tomorrow couldn't be there, so why not spend today doing something that you love and embracing the wilderness and being yourself and really just letting your soul be wild and be nomadic. All right, and then back here we have the garage space. So it's actually a really huge space. I wanted to keep a space that didn't have cabinets and like drawers and stuff in it, so that I could put my messy, dirty stuff, like chainsaw, not mine, but makes me look badass. So it's a really deep compartment. That step that was in the front of the van that pulls all the way out for your feet for the table to sit in, that can be pushed all the way forward, and you can shift it and store it somewhere else, to where you can store, like if I went to the store and I got a bunch of pieces of plywood or 2x4s or something, I could put them all the way through and have a good space to store that, and I don't have to put it on my bed and get my bed all dirty. So yeah, that's that space. I have a Mighty Max 100 amp hour lithium battery right here, which has been awesome so far. And then my inverter, my solar connection is also back in there. This little port hooks into my car's 120 volt system, and then I push this button when I drive, and it charges my battery as I drive if solar's not charging it enough. Like I said, this is my big cabinet for my snowboard that I made for my snowboard, and then I was like, hey, close. So that just opens up right there. Currently right now it does not have a snowboard in it because we're in the desert, and it has a yoga mat and some reflectix I need to put on the windows and other access to the closet. And then at the top of the van, this nice little feature that came with the van is a backup cam, which I use all the time because when you're in a big vehicle like this, you just can't see out of your windows very well. I do have windows back here. I currently have them, I have reflectix Velcroed onto them, so you can take it off if you'd like. There's reflectix on this side, and then this side's just this nice like vinyl matting. On the top of the roof we have a 210 watt solar panel, and it just sits on the front of the roof, and then I have 3 different roof racks for more storage if I would like, or for my kayak, or if I want a rocket box, if I want to store more like backpacking gear or something, I can put it up there. All right, so that's the tour of my van. Thank you for coming along and hanging out. If you want to follow along with my journey, my name on Instagram is Nicole Butterfield, and my greeting card company that I mentioned earlier is Little Red Card Co. There's a fox as the logo, so you'll be able to find it. And yeah, thanks for hanging out today.